So hello there, my name is Martin Bittencourt. I'm a trader and I develop some systems for MT5. And I'm here to present you my new work, my fourth work to be available in the MT5 market for free. And this is my MW Martinware volume indicator. It's a very simple indicator. It only shows in a more practical way the volume and a moving average over it. So after downloading it, made drag and drop as always. Here's a list of parameters. Here are the volume parameters and the moving average parameters. Some of them are very basic and common, such as period, shift, method. Also the applied volume parameter, nothing special here. What is actually different is this coloring, the algorithm you'll be using to do the coloring. So let's start with no coloring at all. So here we have it. This is the indicator. Now as you can see, nothing very special is the volume bars with an indicator of a moving average over those bars. That in fact you can do by yourself by just using the traditional volume indicator that comes with the MT5 and the moving average indicator, and drag and dropping the moving average over the volumes. So this automatically leads to the question, then why use my indicator? Well, first it does that automatically. You don't have to do all these steps, two steps, two indicators. You can do it just one. That's the first and primary advantage. It's just a little bit more practical. But it actually gives you some more advantages. First, this traditional moving average is only one color, and this moving average I have here is actually a colorful, and you can use that to show some algorithm here to show extra data more clearly than the usage of the traditional, the default indicator can give to you. So there's basically three options here. The first one is no coloring, so it's just plot the volume, just plot the average, nothing special. And then we have these two extra here, the increasing or decreasing, which will color either the bars or the indicator, the moving average, sorry, with either a positive color for when it's growing up or a second color for when it's going down. The coloring here goes here. So we have three colors, the positive, the negative, and the neutral one. And the second algorithm, therefore, is to show increasing or decreasing values. And the third is it plots the volume relative to the moving average. Of course, the best way is just to show you. Let's start just by the volume. So here we have increasing or decreasing volume. Now this is the result. What happens? Well, when the volume of the current period is bigger, it's bigger than the previous one, it will use the first color. When the volume is inferior to the previous one, it will use the second, the negative color. So, pretty basics. When it's going down, second color. When it goes up, first color. This, think about the volume. Now, the third option here is volume relative to the average. This time, the first color is used to show when the volume of that given period was higher than the current moving average. If it's lower, use the second color. If it's equal, use the third color. So, all this situation here, the volume was over the moving average, so you plotted green. When it was under, plotted red. Similar stuff for the moving average. If you use increasing or decreasing, what happens is that when the moving average is going down, it will use the second color. When it goes up, it will use the first color. So here, use the first color, then second, then first, and then second again, and so forth. And also pretty similar, if we choose the third option, volume relative to average, We will plot the first color when the volume was higher than the average, and the second color when the volume was inferior than the moving average. Now, of course, you may be wondering, well, when will I use that? How is that useful for my trading? Well, you can use that in a number of ways. Some people use volume to use as a filter. They use as a filter to indicate something. Normally, you don't just trade with volume, but you can use it as a filter to indicate a given market condition. So, for example, let's use here the normal way in which I would use this indicator. So, what we have here is, first, the idea of the volume going higher than the previous one, well, that may not be very useful, because you may have, let's say, like this kind of this volume here. This volume here, it was pretty isolated, so it doesn't really matter much. What is interesting is to pay attention to the moving average. The moving average can indicate, for example, when the market is in a moment where traders are not trading too much, maybe the big investors are not there, and so the market is maybe going up or going down, but not with much strength. And then you can use this moving average to check for a change in market direction, or a forthcoming change in market direction. You may have already read about indicators such as EFR or stochastic, or even here the OBV, on balanced volume, the idea of when the market is going one direction and then the indicator is going in another direction, that signals a change. So for example, you may imagine a market that is consolidated, and then suddenly you see with the moving average that the volume is getting up. This may signal that the big players are working behind the candlesticks to make a new trend, to start a new trend. So this is where the moving average may be of attention to you, may be useful for you. So you may want to use it, configure such a way that the coloring will be increasing or decreasing of the moving average. So we'll pay attention if the moving average is going down or if it's going up, in that kind of condition. The second situation, volume relative to average, can be used in other situations, such as, for example, if you are operating a breakout strategy. Now, many people, when they are going to operate breakouts, they like to use filters to check if that's not going to be a false breakout, which happens quite frequently. And one of the ways to filter that is with volume. If the candlestick where the breakout occurred had a significant increase in volume, that signals that that breakout is actually a significant movement in the market. It's not a false breakout. It's not just a temporary going out of the resistance or going away of the resistance or support line, but it's actually a real breakout happening. So this is a situation where this configuration might be useful. In this case, the moving average itself, if it's going up or down, doesn't really matter. What matters is if this current candlestick, this current period, its volume, did represent a significant change. So what you're going to use here is if the volume bar is higher than the moving average, is higher than the recent bars, the recent volume bars. That will signal if that bar was a really actual relevant one. So this is how you may use this indicator. Of course, it's very simple, nothing too surprising. Most ways you could just use the default ones, but it makes things easier by adding the colors and, of course, automatically adding the moving average already to the volume bars. So that's it. I hope you like it. I hope it will be good, a blessing for your trading. I hope it will help. It will be available for free in the MT5 markets for you to download it. And that's it. So thank you, and until next time.